Dead Walking Sunday, episode 7 of The Walking Dead. And this is a spoiler review. We are reviewing Crossed. I'm assuming you've seen the episode, so I'm going to be talking about a little bit of spoilers, just getting into what I thought was great about this episode, what I thought was not great about this episode. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was last weekend episode was a lot better than this episode, honestly. This episode was really just another setup episode to get to that mid-season finale. It was really boring. It was kind of boring. I mean, I think the only really interesting parts were definitely when Rick and his group are getting the two other cops that are on Dawn's team, and also Beth trying to get medicine for Carol. Maybe it was very heartfelt for Sasha, how Sasha is still struggling with Bob's death. And really, this episode was just, the tone, the pace, it just was it was just boring. It was boring. I know a lot of people argue the fact everything can't be action. That's true. Everything cannot be action. And there's movies out there that are just no action at all, and they rely on dialogue, tone, situation, and they really, everything that it happens in a great, well-paced, well-directed movie that has no action is always moving the story along. I feel like, yes, we're setting up for the mid-season finale, but there's really, I feel like we could do a lot more. I think, and also the interesting aspect of this episode was maybe Abraham, Eugene, Rosita. Rosita's really, I like how the show is really bringing out more of her character. In the comics, it seems like it's 50-50 at this point with the comics and the show is with Rosita's character, but I feel like they could definitely expand Rosita in this Walking Dead TV show because she is kind of a minor character in the comics, and as we saw with Carol, she could really become somebody that's really important to Rick's group. Now, this pacing, this tone was just slow. Basically, when we do see all the groups and what they're doing, and mid-season finale is probably going to lead up to something big happening, maybe probably a character death, because I heard that the mid-season finale is supposed to be the greatest episode of this season. This episode is supposed to be bananas, but we're not there yet. We had to get through this one. And like I said, it's really setting things up. So it's setting things up with Rick versus Dawn and her group. As we saw Rick in this episode, basically, I do like how the cops are addressing, were you a cop? Were you a cop? You have that, that air around you. You have that, prestige around you, how you act and how you say things. You must have been a cop. I do like how they do bring that back because Rick is a sheriff. He was an ex-sheriff. That was him in the past. And it's always good to find things from the past and bringing it back to center stage, especially in this storyline where we have Dawn, who is a cop, and where we have these two other deputies. They're still cops in Atlantic City, but they're not all too good, as we saw from Bob and what he did to Sasha at the end. Well, maybe he's just trying to survive. I mean, Bob's not that bad of a guy if he was helping Noah saying, is it too tight on you, when he's handcuffing him. But yes, I do like the aspect of Rick coming in. He wasn't sheriff, and now these cops are still doing their coply duties, so to speak, trying to survive, trying to bring order. And Rick, knowing that he couldn't be a sheriff anymore, he had to do things that wasn't by the book. So I do like that theme. I do like that aspect of what's going to happen when these two factions collide. That's very entertaining. But them leading up to the mid-season finale, I mean, that was the interesting part. That was definitely the interesting part with Rick and, them trying to capture these cops when they got away that first time and then finally getting to them, and then Daryl struggling to get that one cop off of him, but almost getting bit by two zombies. What was Daryl? I mean, that was so weird. He grabs the zombie's head and he bashes the other guy to get off of him. That was he almost gets bit on his fingers. He almost gets bits everywhere. We're like, oh my! That was actually a really intense moment. That's what I needed from the last episode, where it really, even though I knew Daryl wasn't going to die, but it really still brought me into the intensity. It really got me worried for Daryl. That's what I was talking about. Last weekend's episode, there really wasn't any tension. There really was no fear of death. But in this weekend's episode, it really did feel like Daryl was going to get bit. Now, like I said, the really interesting part was Rick and them going into Atlantic City. The least interesting part was finding out that Glenn, Rosita, and Tara were going to go fishing. That's right, they went fishing. And then Abraham is still on his knees, still in disbelief. And then there was a whole confrontation with him, Rosita, and Maggie. And Maggie, of course, stepping up and saying, I will shoot your ass. Do not make me shoot your ass, Abraham. So, and then, of course, the goal was to get Abraham to drink a bottle of water. That's about it. And there was fishing involved. And there was a theme music at the end where it felt like a football game movie that, like, you know, setting up the big last football or whatever. Kind of, I don't know about that theme music at the end. I just don't know. Yeah, that was the least interesting part. I mean, I like I said, I do like how Rosetta, they're like bringing her out a little bit more, but other than that, it was boring. And then Eugene waking up at the end of the episode, that was okay. I mean, that's fine. Excuse me. And then we had Michonne and Father Gabriel. Father Gabriel, can this guy get bitten already? I really don't like this character, and I still don't like him on the show. I like the actor. Don't get me wrong. I like the actor. I think he's perfect for Father Gabriel. I think he's doing a good job because he's making me like want to smack the hell out of him. He is this character, Father Gabriel. I just don't like him. I don't like him in the comics. I don't like him in a TV show. He's such a just. So we see him really struggling to, you know, get what this whole apocalypse is, and him still reeling from his sins for not letting anybody in the church. So he pretty much escapes after, you know, Carl's trying to toughen him up. He escapes the church from taking all the plywood out and going underneath and just going on the woods by himself after stepping on a nail. And then we know Father Gabriel cannot last out there by himself. He's just Father Gabriel. I just don't like him as a character. But like I said, do not get me wrong. The actor is doing a great job. I'm like, I hate this character so much, but I like you, dude. Dude, you're a good actor. I think you're perfect for this part. But Father Gabriel is I just do not like the character. Let's see if they will, you know, change up a little bit of Father Gabriel's storyline, because in the comics it is definitely where he's really not there at that point. At this point, after all this is said and done, and then in the show though, it's just it's Father Gabriel. It's Father Gabriel. The Michonne talking to Father Gabriel, pretty much, you know, she gets it. You know, he's scared, and I get it too. He's scared. He really doesn't know how to handle all this. He's weak. Let's just say it. He's weak like Eugene. They definitely have the same kind of character with Eugene and Father Gabriel. They're just weak. They're trying to survive. Father Gabriel had his church while Eugene had Abraham. So take it how it is. But I don't know. Eugene is so weird. I don't know if I like him or I hate him. He's just a weird dude with the mullet. I think he's rocking the mullet. I think he gets points for that. Other than that, though, it was just an okay episode. It was very, I don't even want to say it's an okay episode. It's just a big setup episode. How many setup stuff are we going to get? First the Hungry Games, then this. But overall, I mean, I think the really heartfelt thing was Sasha. I mean, Sasha was still reeling from Bob, and you know, I still like. I am too. I mean, Bob was Bob. It was Bob. Bob died, and what can we say? Sasha reeling from that, trying to get over that, and Tyrese, they had that little tender moment where they were talking to each other, and he said, I get it, but when you're ready, I'm here. And they had that hug, and then she's wearing Bob's, medic kind of jacket that he had. That was some good moments. The stupid moment though with Sasha was like really trusting this guy and having this guy, behind her. I knew exactly that he was going to just like push her into that window. That was kind of, come on. He definitely ran. He booked it. You see him book it? He booked it. But overall, it was a very slow episode. It was very mediocre. I got to be honest. It just wasn't one of the best episodes. It was probably one of the weakest. It has to be maybe the weakest episode of the season. I think this is the weakest episode of the season so far. I get it. They're setting it up for the mid-season finale. But you know what? You got to put... if Walking Dead is getting that type of numbers and Walking Dead has that credibility, I mean, look at the first season. The first season had slow moments as well. It did have its action packed moments as well, but it was just so well toned, so well paced, so well dialogue. This one, the dialogue just. I believe what's really hurting the show is the dialogue. I really don't care what they have to say because they're saying stuff we've already heard before. So all those people who say, "Oh, just because it doesn't have action, you're hating on it." No, it's not that. I mean, I don't mind an episode not having action and just really dwelling on character development, character interaction. But when you have dialogue that's not really very engaging, that hurts you as a series and really hurts this pretty much this season. Towards where in the beginning it was good, then till now it's just has been kind of slow and just very mediocre. It's very mediocre. If you want to take you can freaking put it against Breaking Bad or another great series like maybe Game of Thrones and all that stuff. I don't watch Game of Thrones, but really I can only compare it to Breaking Bad. You can compare the series to Breaking Bad and stuff because, by all means, it's a show. Does this show carry you? Does this dialogue carry you? Does the actions of these characters carry you each episode in? And that's why that show was just beyond. It's beyond anybody. It couldn't be touched. While this Walking Dead, I love The Walking Dead, but then there's things like this kind of episode where you could still have a rock solid episode setting up everything from mid-season, but really it just was boring. There was the dialogue just boring. It just doesn't go anywhere. It really didn't feel like it moved the story along. Just Rick's group, but when you take Glenn's group, it didn't move the story along at all, really. When you take Michonne and Gabriel's group, yeah, maybe a little bit with Gabriel leaving, but overall, it just really, this episode, it was mediocre. I'm sorry, it was mediocre. Like I said, there were some positive things about it. There were some not positive things about it, but overall, mediocre. Weakest episode, in my opinion. I think last weekend's episode was a little bit more better. There was a little bit more, kind of just a little bit more something, a little bit more oomph, as you want to say it. But by all means, it wasn't. I didn't hate the episode, but I just felt bored with it. I felt it was mediocre. That's my opinion. So thank you guys for listening. If you like this video, please push the like button and please subscribe. I make videos for you every single day. And I make these videos to hear your thoughts. Let me know if I'm wrong, if you think it's my opinion, but let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this episode was rock solid? Do you still think just because there's no action, this thing is still, legit? I gave you some of my reasons why I think this is why, just because I don't want action, but this is why The Walking Dead kind of fails at some points of the story or some points of the episodes that they have. But let me know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts as well. That's why I make these videos, to hear what you guys think. And that's about it. Until next weekend when we review the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead. All right, guys. See you later.